I was reborn, and the first thing I did was pull the plug on my husband, who was lying unconscious in a hospital bed. Why bother saving him? Save him so he can keep his mistress, abuse me, and drive me into depression until I commit suicide, after my rebirth. I'll make them pay for what they've done and take back everything that's mine. 1. Who told you to pull the tube? In the hospital ward, my mother-in-law rushed over in a fury. Unfortunately, she was too late. I had already signed the consent form to forego resuscitation and personally pulled out the oxygen tube inserted in Chin Jean. Chin Jean was in a severe car accident yesterday. After being rescued, the doctors declared him brain dead. But who would have thought that half a year later, this bastard would miraculously wake up, perfectly proving the saying, a wicked person lives 1,000 years, but back then I had no idea he was keeping a mistress outside. Nor did I know that the car accident happened because he was on his way to buy a Valentine's Day gift for her. So when I learned about his accident, I was not only devastated with grief but also drained all my savings and even took out a huge loan to save him. I shamelessly borrowed money from my relatives, went to the hospital every day on time to bring him nutritious rice porridge, helped him with physical therapy, talked to him. And then, who could have guessed that the first thing Chin Jean did after waking up was to ask for a divorce? He said that after going through a life-and-death experience, he realized life was short and didn't want to suppress himself anymore, wanted to pursue true love. I couldn't bear the blow, but I couldn't withstand his constant domestic violence and the disgusting behavior of him and his mistress. Unable to endure the humiliation, I agreed to a divorce. At the time of the divorce, he promised that the debts incurred for his medical treatment would be repaid by him. But after the divorce, he suddenly changed his tune, saying that since the money was borrowed by me, I should be the one to repay it. I was also tormented by Chin Jean and his mistress all along, to the point that later I just wanted to get divorced quickly. So I didn't scrutinize the divorce agreement carefully. I always thought that people couldn't possibly be so shameless. But the truth is, all of this debt ended up falling on me. And Chin Jean is a mama's boy. The house we lived in was under his mother's name, and most of his monthly income went to her as well. When we got divorced, I didn't get a single cent, so I had no way to pay off the debt. Yet, as soon as my relatives found out about my divorce, they came knocking on my door demanding their money back. Some of that money had been borrowed with the help of my parents. So those relatives pestered my parents relentlessly. Every day, countless people showed up at our home demanding repayment. My mother has high blood pressure, and she was rushed to the hospital several times from the stress. My father, humiliated in front of our relatives, became extremely irritable. One day, in a fit of rage, he impulsively grabbed a knife and went after Chin Jean. He didn't manage to hurt Chin Jean, but instead got arrested by the police and was sentenced to 15 days of administrative detention. My home was torn apart, filled with chaos and despair. I was powerless to change the situation, spending each day in tears, and I developed severe depression. Less than a year after the divorce, I jumped off a building and ended my life. Then, unexpectedly, I was reborn on the day after Chin Jean's car accident. At that time, Chin Jean was still in critical care and in dire need of money. In my previous life, it was also on this day that I incurred a massive debt for him. If I had to do it all over again, I would still choose to give up treatment, too. I coldly watched the numbers on Chin Jean's heart monitor drop to 0. The thrill of revenge was indescribably satisfying. My mother-in-law stared in disbelief at the now dead Chin Jean, collapsing into a wailing sob. "My son, how could you die? How could you leave your mother alone in this world?" After crying, she suddenly bared her teeth and lunged at me. I sidestepped to dodge. "An Xian, how dare you give up on treating my son? How dare you? Now that he's dead, you have to pay for my son, pay me." My mother-in-law ranted and raved like a shrew. "Was it me who gave up, Mom? Wasn't it you who gave up?" I sneered and retorted. "What nonsense are you talking? How could I possibly give up on my son? He is my only son, how could I abandon him? It was you who caused his death, yesterday. You yourself said you couldn't come up with the money to save Qin, so today I had no choice but to sign the papers to stop treatment, I said coldly. My mother-in-law's face turned completely pale. She thought she could manipulate me. Convinced that even if she didn't contribute a single cent, I would find a way to save Qin. At that time, she kept urging me to borrow money from my maternal relatives, and even said she had already tried all the relatives on the Qin family's side, but no one would lend to her. She had calculated everything perfectly, but never expected that I would suddenly break the mold. You, my mother-in-law couldn't utter a single word for a long time. If we're talking about who really caused Qin's death, it's you, Mom. After all the money Qin earned over the years has been in your hands. Yet you wouldn't take out a single cent when he was in trouble. If Qin is going to hate anyone, it should be you, I said with a sarcastic tone. After saying that, there was no time to waste. I still had many matters to deal with, for instance, the property between Qin and me, the insurance compensation, and even the money Qin spent on his mistress. All of these needed to be carefully sorted out. I left directly. And of course, I wouldn't bother with Qin's funeral arrangements. Crying over a man like that only makes yourself feel sick. After returning home, I had the moving company take away all the valuable furniture and smashed all the fixtures that couldn't be moved. The house wasn't mine. But all the renovations inside were paid for by my parents. How could I let others benefit from them? After finishing that, I went back to my parents' home. My parents don't quite understand why I'm doing this. Logically, with Qin dead, should be heartbroken. But instead I'm acting like nothing happened. In fact, I'm even happy. I can't explain too much to them, I just ask them to trust me, that I'm not an ungrateful person. My parents are definitely on my side. Even in the past life, when the Qin family and relatives pushed them to despair, they never once scolded me. Thinking about the humiliation my parents suffered because of the Qin family in my past life, the hatred in my heart deepens. Qin is just one of the culprits, along with Qin's mother and the mistress. I won't let any of them off. 3. Early the next morning, Qin's mother went mad and kept calling me non-stop. After dozens of calls, I finally answered unhurriedly. Qin, you wretched woman, are you dead? Why haven't you answered the phone for so long? The shrill screech of Qin's mother came from the other end. The one who died is your son. Have you forgotten? Qin's mother was so furious she could spit blood. Where did the things in the house go? How was the house trashed? Did you do it, didn't you? That was Qin's and my home. Now that Qin is dead, I have the final say on how to handle the things in the house. You have no right to interfere. The house is in my name, that is my home. What does it have to do with you? You need to understand, I was the one who graciously let you live there before. Mother Qin said with righteous indignation. I was truly amused to the point of laughter. It's true that Mother Qin paid for the house in full, but at least half of that money came from Qin's wages that he handed over to her during the time he and I were dating. Of course, Qin and I weren't married, so his money had nothing to do with me. But Mother Qin used the excuse of buying this house to claim she had no money left for the bride price. I am my parents' only daughter, and they have doted on me since I was little. They didn't want any unpleasantness over the bride price, so they not only agreed to forego it but also offered to help pay for our renovation. At the time, Qin's mother kept saying that this house belonged to Qin and me. That her name was just on the title, and that we had full rights to live in it, rent it out, or even sell it. It was also my fault for being young and naive, and for being so devoted to Qin that I fell for the trick of that scheming mother and son. I took a deep breath, trying to control my emotions. Getting angry over someone like this, getting depressed over someone like this, it's not worth it. I don't care about the house either. You can keep it and live in it until you die, I said coldly. given Chin's mother's temperament. There was no way I would get even a shred of that house, so I didn't want to waste any more time on it. Holding on to cold, lifeless property with no one to see you off or inherit it is the greatest tragedy in life. You're cursing me? Mother Chin questioned me excitedly. I ignored her and continued, but the house's renovation was paid for by my family, and all the appliances and furniture inside were bought by my family. Shouldn't I move out? An excian, you bitch, do you have no conscience? I paid for the house so you could live in it, and now that my son is in trouble, you turn your back on me. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning? Not afraid. It's not me who'll be struck by lightning. After all, someone has already gotten their comeuppance, haven't they? I said sarcastically. What did you say? Are you saying my son's death was karma? Shouldn't you know that very well? I'm telling you, an excian, if my son is dead, don't think you'll get off easy. Chin's mother abruptly hung up the phone. I looked at my phone and let out a cold sneer. Who's afraid of who? I'm not afraid of you. Don't push your luck. 4. That afternoon. My dad and mom were sitting in the living room watching TV when their expressions suddenly changed. They enjoy watching the local news channels, which are nothing more than trivial household matters. Shin, look. My mom called out to me nervously. I was also in the living room, texting the insurance company on my phone to inquire about the compensation for Chin Jin's fatal car accident. Since Chin Jin was primarily at fault, the compensation wouldn't be very high. At that moment, hearing my mother's voice, I looked up and saw Chin's mother on the TV screen. She was being interviewed by a reporter. At the bottom left of the screen, a news headline read, "After her son's car accident, the daughter-in-law not only refused to save him but even trashed the house. My son had a car accident the day before yesterday. My daughter-in-law, afraid of spending money, gave up on resuscitation, causing my son to die in the hospital. Now, at my son's funeral. She doesn't care at all. I really have no choice but to come to you for help." Chin's mother said as she cried, looking like a pitiful old lady, which truly evoked sympathy. "Why didn't you come? Is it because of guilt and remorse?" the reporter asked. "No," Chin's mother said, weeping bitterly. "As soon as my son got into trouble, she wanted the house. I worked my whole life and used my retirement savings to buy the house for them in full, and it's under my name. Because I didn't agree to give it to her, she immediately turned her back on me. Took all the furniture and appliances and even trashed the house." Chin's mother grew more sorrowful as she spoke, bursting into loud sobs. The reporter offered a few words of comfort and then asked, "Ma'am, you came to us today, what do you want us to help you with?" "I hope my daughter-in-law will handle my son's funeral arrangements, restore the home's renovation, and return the furniture and appliances to me." "All right, let's contact your daughter-in-law first," the reporter said. Soon after, my phone rang. At the same time, my parents' phones also rang. My parents each answered the phone. My mom said, "It's not what you think. How could our Shin possibly do something like that? It's a misunderstanding." My dad said, "Don't you all know what kind of person Shin is? It's obvious that the Chin family is deliberately slandering her. If you dare to speak ill of Shin again, don't blame me for turning my back on you and cutting off all ties, even as relatives, clearly." Chin's mother's move had already created a social impact. I don't even need to think about how bad my reputation is now. A wave of irony washed over me. In my past life, the Chin family ruined my name and destroyed my family over debts. In this life, they want to cyberbully me and make me repeat the same fate. How laughable. Does she really think the heavens have no eyes? Now it's time for you to truly understand what it means to reap what you sow. So after the reporter made 2 phone calls, I answered, "Hello." "Hello, Anshin. We're from the XX program team. Your mother-in-law. I saw the live broadcast on TV. I'm heading to Chin Jin's Memorial Hall now." With that, I hung up the phone directly. Causing trouble. Who doesn't know how to do that? 5. I put down my phone, went to my room to pack my things. And then got ready to head out. Shin, are you really going? My parents looked at me in disbelief. It was obvious to anyone that if I went out now, nothing good would come of it. After Mother Chin's outburst had become the quintessential villainess in everyone's eyes. If I went, I would surely be humiliated by countless people. Don't worry, I can handle it, I reassured them. I'll go with you. If you go alone, you might end up at a disadvantage. My father couldn't bear the thought of me going alone. With the TV station around. I won't be at a disadvantage. You just wait in front of the TV and watch the news. I don't want them to worry about me like that. My mom has high blood pressure, and my dad is quick-tempered. If any conflict arises and ends up hurting my parents' health, it wouldn't be worth it. I opened the front door. At the doorway, several neighbors from next door were blocking the way. Seeing me come out, they quickly walked away. As they left, a few gossipy old women muttered a few words. That's the wicked daughter-in-law. Heartless and cold. I heard this family are intellectuals. How did they raise such an ill-mannered one? This is what they call a wolf in sheep's clothing. I was getting really angry. It's precisely because my parents are too reasonable that they're being taken advantage of by the shameless Chin family. I'm not wasting time arguing now anyway, the truth will come out soon enough. I took a taxi and arrived at the destination. The morning hall was quite crowded. Word had spread that a TV crew was coming, so besides relatives and friends, there were also many onlookers. The moment I walked in, the entire hall erupted. Anshin, how dare you actually show up, how shameless of you to come. If it weren't for you, Chin Jin wouldn't have died. If it weren't for Chin Jin's mother finding you through the TV station, would you have been heartless enough not to even see Chin Jin off? After all the kindness Chin Jin and his mother have shown you, they never held it against you for not having a child in over 3 years of marriage. And yet you have the nerve to turn your back on them. All of Chin Jin's relatives were scolding me in a flurry of voices. In truth, the Chin family and their relatives weren't close. Chin Jin's father died early, and his mother, with her odd temper and many schemes, never supported her in-laws, so the Chin family had always disapproved of her. Probably because there were TV station people present today, and out of respect for the deceased. Everyone wanted to take the opportunity to show off their so-called sympathy and sense of justice. I glanced at Chin Jin's coffin and then I saw Chin Jin's mistress, Lin Xiaomin, who was also his colleague. Lin Xiaomin noticed my gaze and her eyes flickered. At that time, Lin Xiaomin and Chin Jin were still in a secret, illicit relationship, not yet bold enough to be blatant. She was still evasive when facing me, unlike later when she became arrogant, calling me a barren hen who occupied the toilet without shitting. I have been married to Chin Jin for 3 years, and indeed we have no children, but it's not because of me. It's because Chin Jin has low sperm count, making it very difficult to conceive. The doctor suggested IVF. But the cost was high, and Chin Jin's mother was unwilling. Moreover, she had heard from somewhere that IVF babies weren't good, and since the doctor said it was difficult, not impossible, she insisted we try natural conception first and consider it later when we're older. Eventually, someone did get pregnant, but it wasn't me. It was Lin Xiaomin. I still clearly remember how arrogant Chin Jin's mother was after Lin Xiaomin became pregnant, saying that her son was fine, it was just that some fields weren't fertile. The more I think about it, the more ironic it becomes. So, unable to control myself, I walked up to Lin Xiaomin. Slap, right in front of everyone, I slapped her across the face. Lin Xiaomin was stunned by my slap. At this moment, several of Chin Jin's colleagues were also in the morning hall. All stunned by my actions. Why are you hitting her? Chin's mother stood in front of Lin Xiaomin and asked me angrily. Chin Jin was a mama's boy, he would tell his mother everything. So, Chin's mother had long known that Qin Jin had other women outside. Chin's mother even supported it, saying it was normal for a man to have other women outside, and if he could get a woman pregnant, that was a man's greatest achievement. I hit her. So what? I sneered. What, do I need to pick an auspicious day to teach a mistress a lesson? 6. What nonsense are you talking about? Chin's mother was extremely agitated. My son is dead, and you're still slandering him like this. Qin, have you no conscience left? Qin's mother's breakdown stirred up the emotions of everyone else once again. Qin, haven't you caused enough trouble, with so many people here today? Can't you show some shame? You're here to atone, not to act arrogant. You really think you're above the law? In all my years, I've never seen anyone so shameless. Were you born with a mother but no father to raise you? TV station reporters quickly arrived on the scene. Thankfully, the TV station was there, otherwise, would have been at a loss to defend myself. Miss, and don't you think your behavior today is somewhat inappropriate? Your husband has just passed away, and instead of grieving, you're causing such an unreasonable scene. The reporter shoved the microphone toward me. I don't think it's inappropriate, I said bluntly. An Xian, how can you be so shameless? Was my son blind to have fallen for you in the first place? My son died so tragically, so tragically. Qin's mother wailed heart-wrenchingly. Everyone went to comfort her, pointing fingers at me. Lin Xiaomin kept crying on the side, feeling deeply wronged as well. Could there be some misunderstanding between you and your husband, or your mother-in-law? The reporter, naturally calmer and more rational than most, asked. It's not a misunderstanding, it's the truth, I said coldly. My husband Qin Jin had an affair during our marriage and the person he cheated with is her. I pointed at Lin Xiaomin. You're talking nonsense. Qin Jin and I are just ordinary colleagues. How could there possibly be anything between us? How could there not be? I sneered. Why did Qin Jin get into a car accident? Why did he die? It's all because of you. You can't just slander me like this, Lin Xiaomin cried out in accusation, putting on the act of a victim. But in truth, with a guilty conscience, I didn't dare to act recklessly. Qin, I am Qin Jin's superior, and also Xiaomin's superior. There is nothing improper between them, and I can testify to that. Qin Jin's direct supervisor stepped forward to speak. See, even the boss said there's nothing between them, and you're still here spouting nonsense. Qin's mother rushed out again, pointing at me and cursing. What they're doing is sneaky and underhanded. How could the boss possibly know? You're not watching them 247, are you? I asked the supervisor. The leader was somewhat speechless, then said, but regardless. When accusing someone, there should be evidence. Of course there is evidence. I glanced sideways at Lin Xiaomin. Lin Xiaomin's body trembled slightly. She probably hadn't expected to be exposed in public. You see, she and Qin Jin had done an excellent job keeping it a secret. No one knew except Qin's mother. If I hadn't been reborn, I wouldn't have known either. So when I finally learned the truth later, the blow hit me like a thunderbolt. I don't know what I did to make you misunderstand me like this, Lin Xiaomin said before I could speak. And I don't want to disturb Qin Jin's funeral because of me. Since you don't want to see me, I'll leave. With that, Lin Xiaomin turned to leave. I stepped directly in front of her. What's the matter, feeling guilty? I just don't want to make everyone uncomfortable because of me. I'm nothing more than an insignificant person. How could you be insignificant? You're the one who directly caused Qin Jin's death. I enunciated each word clearly. You can't slander people like that. Even if you're just making excuses for not rescuing Qin Jin. Lin Xiaomin blushed as she retorted. Before I could speak, the leader stepped in to protect his own. An Xian, that's enough. I know Xiaomin and Qin Jin's character very well. No matter what you say, I won't believe there's anything between them. Then he turned to Lin Xiaomin and comforted her, "Let me see you out first. This is Qin Jin's phone, which has the chat records between Lin Xiaomin and Qin Jin." I directly took out Qin Jin's phone. At that moment, I saw Lin Xiaomin's face instantly turn deathly pale. 7. For the sake of fairness, let the most impartial TV station reporter take a look at what the two of them talked about. I directly handed the phone to the reporter. Journalists are never afraid of stirring things up. She quickly took the phone and looked at the chat history inside. Her expression visibly changed. After looking at it for a while, she hurriedly called over the cameraman, "Come, shoot this quickly." "What are you filming? What are you filming?" Qin's mother was furious. She knew best about the relationship between Qin Jin and Lin Xiaomin. It was caught on camera. The fact that her son was keeping a mistress would be known nationwide. I grabbed the phone before Qin's mother could snatch it away. Qin's mother glared at me. "Qin, give me back my son's phone." "So, Mom, you knew about Qin Jin keeping a mistress outside too?" I said sarcastically. What do I know? I don't know anything. The chat records between Qin Jin and Lin Xiaomin clearly state that you agreed, and that you even liked her and didn't like me. I directly exposed her lie. I did not. The reporter must have seen it too, right? I asked the journalist. I saw it. The journalist nodded. Qin's mother's face flushed red. The next moment, she suddenly flew into a rage. "Get out, all of you, get out now. I don't need your help anymore. Leave me alone." "You can't leave. There's even more exciting stuff coming up. How can you just walk away?" "Mom, I haven't fully aired the family's dirty laundry yet. I'm going to make sure you get what you deserve," I said sarcastically. "Qin, you bitch, my son is dead, and you want me dead too. Don't you? Watch me beat you to death." "Mom, the camera is recording. If you dare to lay a hand on me, that's called intentional assault and you'll go to jail." "You," Qin's mother, threatened by me, then said to the other relatives, "Help me throw her out, get her out of here. I don't want to see her." "Mom, you've gone too far. You're afraid of committing a crime yourself. So you let your relatives do it for you. You can't be so malicious." Some relatives who were on the verge of acting immediately calmed down. They also clearly showed a hint of dissatisfaction toward Qin's mother. I didn't mean that." Qin's mother tried to explain. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore, so I said bluntly, "Mom, do you know how Qin Jin died? Qin Jin was killed by you. You gave up on saving him. It was you who caused his death." Mother Qin insisted it was my fault. Qin Jin got into a car accident because he was rushing to buy Lin Xiaomin a Valentine's Day gift. When the accident happened, he was still on the phone with her. If Lin Xiaomin hadn't distracted him, would he have run a red light and been hit by a truck? What? Mother Qin looked at me in disbelief. This is the last chat record between Qin Jin and Lin Xiaomin. Lin Xiaomin asked Qin Jin for a gift, and he went out to buy her a gold necklace. This is Qin Jin's last phone call. And the call time exactly matches the moment of his car accident. I showed my phone to Qin's mother. Qin's mother's face changed dramatically upon seeing the message. She turned and glared fiercely at Lin Xiaomin. Lin Xiaomin, exposed directly, was utterly ashamed. "How dare you make my son buy you gifts, you vixen! Give me back my son, give me back my son!" Qin's mother rushed over, grabbed Lin Xiaomin by the hair, and started crying and making a scene. The scene instantly descended into chaos. Yet no one stepped in to stop it. The TV station, not one to miss out on the drama, kept filming relentlessly. He insisted on buying it himself. I didn't hold a knife to his throat and make him buy it. He said he loved me and insisted on giving me a gift. What was I supposed to do? Lin Xiaomin couldn't take it anymore and blurted out in a moment of desperation, she directly admitted to being the other woman. I saw Lin Xiaomin's boss standing nearby, his face turning green. This was undoubtedly a public slap in the face for him, of course. The most agitated was Qin's mother. How dare you say something like that? My son is dead, and you still have the nerve to make such a sarcastic remark. Are you blaming me for your son's death, if anyone's to blame? It's on Qin for not saving him. Lin Xiaomin then turned her toward me. On Qin, is it because you realized Qin Jin no longer loves you, so you deliberately chose not to save him? No matter what, he was a human life. How could you be so vicious? 8. Lin Xiaomin's shamelessness was simply unmatched. No wonder Lin Xiaomin managed to win over Mother Qin. After all, I had never gained Mother Qin's approval over the years. It was said that after Lin Xiaomin married Qin Jin, Mother Qin even emptied her savings to buy them a new house, registered under both Qin Jin and Lin Xiaomin's names. As soon as Mother Qin heard Lin Xiaomin's words, she immediately redirected her anger at me. On Qin, is it because Qin Jin had another woman that you refused to save him? How could you be so heartless, no matter how serious the issue? You shouldn't have treated Qin Jin this way. You're committing murder. Qin's mother's face was twisted with rage. At that moment she wished she could strangle me to death. The people around also began to murmur among themselves. Some voices said, indeed, even so, she shouldn't have refused to save him. After all, saving a life is worth more than building a 7-story pagode. Too heartless. Other voices chimed in, isn't this ironic? The husband gets into a car accident while buying a gift for his mistress, and he expects his wife to save him. Isn't this just emotional blackmail? Those who say to save him are mostly the older generation. Those who say not to save him are all young people. I said calmly to Mother Qin, Mom, I told you before, the one who refused to save Qin Jin was you. Not me. Qin Jin is my only son, how could I possibly? The doctor said the rescue might cost hundreds of thousands, and even if he survived, he would likely be a vegetable. You said directly at the time, I don't have the money. I interrupted her. If you don't have money, do you think I do? How can you not have money? You've been married to Qin Jin for 3 years. Didn't you have any savings at all? Even if you don't, can't you borrow some? Qin's mother said shamelessly. In these 3 years of marriage, if Qin Jin had given me a single cent, I wouldn't have 0 savings, I said loudly. And all these years, Qin Jin's money either went to you or was spent on Lin Xiaomin. What right do you have to say I can borrow money if I don't have any? You have money, why didn't you take it out to save Qin Jin? You're talking nonsense. You're completely lying. Qin's mother was flushed with anger at my words. I have evidence. I let out a cold laugh. Having been reborn, I came fully prepared. I unhurriedly took out the document folder and pulled out the bank statements inside. These are Qin Jin's bank records for the past 3 years. Qin Jin's monthly salary is nearly 20,000 yuan. The first thing he does after receiving his salary is send money to his mother, 60 of it, meaning he regularly sends her 12,000 yuan every month. As for the remaining 40, about 5,000 yuan is usually spent on Lin Xiaomin, and around 3,000 yuan goes toward household expenses. But on average, that's less than 1,000 yuan. The other 2,000 yuan he uses for himself, since he always says that working at a big company requires a good image. Qin's mother looked at the long bank statement and had no strength to refute it. It was all facts. So there was nothing to refute either. As for me, I really don't earn much, only about 5,000 yuan a month. But every single yuan of that 5,000 goes to our little family. Here's my monthly budget journal. I can't even bring myself to buy a piece of clothing over 500 yuan. While Qin Jin spends more than that on a single candlelit dinner with Lin Xiaomin. I then showed everyone my own spending details. The TV station reporters were the most proactive, constantly filming without pause. No one expected such a dramatic twist in the story. So, Mom, Jean has been working for 7 or 8 years now, giving you over 100,000 each year. You must have at least $1 million in your bank account. Why don't you take that money out to save Jean? 9. Where would I get that much money, when you and Jean got married? Didn't I pay for the house in full? Jean's mother started making excuses again. But Jean and I have been married for 3 years now. The house we bought when we got married, plus the 3 years after marriage, you've saved hundreds of thousands too, when we bought the house. I borrowed money from relatives. Don't I have to pay it back? Mother Jean kept making excuses. Really? I sneered. All the relatives are here today. I just want to ask, who lent my mother-in-law money to buy the house? All the relatives exchanged bewildered glances. No one spoke. Mother Jean was getting anxious. She probably never dreamed in her wildest imagination that someone like me, whom she had completely under her thumb, would one day make her feel so humiliated. Yes, I do have some money left. Mother Jean admitted, but she stubbornly refused to acknowledge anything else she had said. But I never said I wouldn't use it to save Jean. He is my only son. How could I possibly refuse to pay for his treatment? Aunt Jean, why are you trying to frame me like this? I knew you were thick-skinned, I said coldly. So I made a special trip to the hospital and copied the video of what you said in front of the doctor that day. Mother Jean's face changed completely. I didn't give her a chance to back out either. Pulling out my phone and playing it. From the phone came Mother Jean's sharp voice. What? The rescue costs hundreds of thousands and there's no guarantee it will work, and even if it does, there's a high chance they'll end up as a vegetable. Think it over. I can't give you advice. I can only tell you the worst possible outcome, the doctor said helplessly. I don't have any money anyway, Jean's mother immediately cut in. I don't work and my pension is only $1,000 or $2,000 a month. What money could I have? Aunt Jean, you're his wife, you make the decision yourself. As soon as the video was released, the entire audience was in an uproar. Oh my God, what kind of person is this? Her own son is about to die, and all she cares about is her money. The key point is that she already had the money her son earned, right? She just wanted to shift all the burdens onto her daughter-in-law. Didn't she? What a well-calculated scheme. If her son couldn't be saved, that money would still be borrowed by the daughter-in-law, and the debt would be hers to repay. She wanted to have it all. No wonder she got what she deserved. How does someone like that have the nerve to bring a TV station to expose her daughter-in-law? Does she have no shame? Mother Jean was ridiculed to the extreme by the people around her. Her face flushed red and then turned pale, and for a long time she couldn't utter a single word. Seeing her like this, I felt truly satisfied inside. But it wasn't enough. Everything I endured in my past life was far more than this. I continued unhurriedly. Today, my mother-in-law brought a TV station to accuse me, claiming I took things from the house and damaged the renovation. I am now here to clarify. The reason I did this, I have to admit, I do feel a sense of unfairness. Why could Jean have an affair outside, and why did my mother-in-law support him so much? Now that Jean is dead, I can't confront him, and I don't want to argue with my mother-in-law. I just want to take back what belongs to me and settle things with this family. What I mean by, what belongs to me, is that when we got married, all the household appliances were given by my parents. And the renovation was also paid for by my parents. But this house is under my mother-in-law's name, with no share for me, so I can only take the items away. Let me add one more thing. My mother-in-law said that because she paid for the house in full. I didn't ask for any bride price when I married Jean. Most people here can probably testify. My mother-in-law used to boast everywhere about how accomplished her son was, how he married a wife without spending a single cent, and how the bride's family even threw in a lot of extras. 10. A relative immediately chimed in, I can testify to that. Back then, she went around saying how capable her son was, marrying without spending a dime, while the other side even added extras. She even mocked me for spending hundreds of thousands on my son's wedding. That almost caused a rift between me and my son. But now it seems. Thank goodness I wasn't swayed by her. Thank goodness I felt for my daughter-in-law, knowing how hard it was for her parents to raise her. I didn't skimp on the bride price at all. Otherwise, that retribution might have fallen on me. Serves her right that heaven punished her by taking her son. Chin's mother, angered by the relative's words, snapped back. What did you say? What nonsense are you spouting? He was about to hit the relative but was shoved away by the relative's husband. He was very strong. Mother Chin stumbled back several steps. The relative's husband threatened coldly, if you dare touch her, I'll kill you, you. Chin's mother was startled. I said your son's death was your fault. Not only your son, but your husband was also killed by your bad luck. Someone like you won't even have anyone to see you off when you die, the relative's husband said viciously. You, Chin's mother was furious. Pushed to the brink of collapse. With a loud wail, she broke down into heart-wrenching sobs. You're all bullying a lonely old woman like me. You'll all die a miserable death. She cried and cursed at the same time. Acting like a shrew. Utterly disgraceful. Everyone at the scene was watching her as if she were a joke. No one had even a shred of sympathy left. It was also quite disgusting. There's one more thing that needs to be clarified. I ignored Chin's mother. The reason Chin Jin and I don't have children is because of his physical condition, not me. Here's the hospital proof of his asthenospermia. I produced it publicly. That's enough, an Xian, that's enough. Do you want Chin Jin to die with his eyes open? Chin's mother roared at me like a madwoman. Yes. Exactly. What right does someone like him have to die with peace of mind? I originally planned to do IVF, but my mother-in-law said it was too expensive and told us to conceive naturally. In the end, even after Chin Jin died, I still hadn't gotten pregnant. As soon as I said that, the crowd stirred again. Serves him right, he was really obsessed with money. Now his son is dead, and he didn't even leave behind an heir. What a sin, it's heaven's retribution. Heaven truly has eyes. People like that don't deserve sympathy. Chin's mother became even more distraught. Shut up, all of you, shut up. No one paid her any attention. I don't either. I continued unhurriedly. I'm not here today for Chin Jin's funeral. After all, Chin Jin died for Lin Xiaomin. I'm not a saint and I'm not that magnanimous. I'm not here just to clear my own name either. There are some scores that need to be settled. I looked coldly at Chin's mother and Lin Xiaomin and said, don't blame me for settling these accounts now. I originally planned to wait until after Chin Jin's funeral to bring this up, but since you're so eager, I don't want to waste any more time. Before Chin's mother and Lin Xiaomin could speak, the others started stirring up trouble. Count. Let's settle it however it needs to be settled, we've got your back. On Chin, we misunderstood you before. Now, if you have anything to say, speak up quickly while everyone's here. We'll make sure you get a fair outcome. We won't let these two bully you. Hurry up and tell us. We'll help you. The reporter also walked up to me and said excitedly, we're currently broadcasting live on TV and online. And it's getting a lot of attention. Everyone is on your side and hopes you can reclaim all the unfair treatment you've suffered. Our TV station will stand by you too. If you need legal assistance, we can arrange it for you right away. I need it. I agreed without even hesitating. Then wait a moment. The reporter went to contact the lawyer. As I said, with the TV station around, I wouldn't lose out at all. At this moment, Mother Chin was panicking. She shouted at me. Get out of here, since you want to sever ties with Chin Jin, just leave. I'll pretend I never had you as a daughter-in-law, don't rush. Once the accounts are settled, I'll leave. I have no accounts to settle with you. I'll just consider the things you smashed in the house as my bad luck and won't bother arguing with you. Mother Chin suddenly said magnanimously. I didn't even need to refute. There's someone on the scene who speaks up for her. Have you no shame? An Xian already said her parents paid for the renovation. Since she's not living there anymore, of course it should be torn down. It's my house. And I let her live here for free all these years, Chin's mother retorted. An Xian married your son without asking for a single cent of bride price, and even contributed so much herself. Not only did you not buy a house, but you have the nerve to say she lived here for free for years. Such shameless words from such a shameless person. I've lived a long time. But I've never seen anything like this. More and more people began to mock Mother Chin. Mother Chin couldn't take it anymore. Our family's domestic affairs are none of your business. We couldn't care less about your family matters, but when it comes to Anchin's affairs, we'll see it through to the end. Everyone present was standing up for me. I actually expected Chin's mother and Lin Xiaoman to be disgraced and utterly humiliated, but I never imagined that I would suddenly receive so much support. 11. In my past life, I was isolated and helpless. The people around me either called me foolish or demanded that I repay money. It clearly wasn't my fault, yet during that time, I faced the greatest hostility in the world. So much so that the moment I jumped off the building to my death, I truly had no regrets. At this moment, being supported by so many people, I have to admit that I was moved by them. My eyes were red, and my nose was stinging. I held back, trying hard to control my emotions. Fortunately, the TV station's lawyer arrived at the scene soon after. I calmed myself down and spoke loudly again in front of everyone. I have been married to Chin Jin for 3 years. According to marriage law, all property acquired after marriage, whether earned by me or by Chin Jin, should be considered joint marital property. As everyone just saw, during our 3 years of marriage, Chin Jin has given most of the money to his mother and his mistress. I turned to the lawyer and asked, "Can I get this money back?" The lawyer replied, "According to marriage law, the income of both parties after marriage does indeed belong to joint marital property. If one spouse gives money to others without the other spouse's knowledge, the other spouse has the right to recover it. However, the prerequisite is that the other spouse has evidence to prove it. I do." I quickly took out Chin Jin's transfer records. These are the detailed statements of the money my husband transferred to them over the past 3 years. The lawyer took it, examined it carefully, and then nodded, saying, "This can serve as valid evidence to demand that the other party return the money." "In that case," I said, looking at Chin's mother, "over the past 3 years, Chin Jin transferred approximately 430,000 yuan to you. Rounded off. Please return this money to me as soon as possible." "You're talking nonsense. The money my son earned is all mine." "What right do you have to take my son's money? Are you crazy for money?" According to the law, after a couple gets married, their property is jointly owned. The lawyer explained. "What law? I gave birth to my son, whether he's married or not, everything he has is mine." The lawyer tried to speak again. "Don't waste your breath on her." I knew all too well how Chin's mother would twist things around. So there was no need for further words. "Can I take this to court?" "Of course you can." "Including the 120,000 my husband gave to his mistress, Lin Xiaoman?" I asked the lawyer. "Yes, that's possible." The lawyer confirmed. "Good." I turned to Chin's mother and Lin Xiaoman and said directly, "If you don't transfer the money into my account within 3 days, we'll see each other in court." "An Xian, you bitch, how dare you sue me? Do you think I'm afraid of you just because you're taking me to court?" Chin's mother was extremely agitated. Lin Xiaoman could no longer stay calm at this moment. The money was all given to me by Chin Jin voluntarily. "Why should I return it?" "By the fairness and justice of the law," I said, enunciating each word. Lin Xiaoman was rendered speechless by my words, her face flushed red with frustration. "I'll say this one last time. 3 days, or else we'll see each other in court." Leaving behind those words, I turned and walked away. I didn't want to waste any more time on these two people either. "Anshin, if they don't return it, I'll be at the court to support you on the day of the trial," a relative said loudly. The other relatives chimed in, "Exactly, just let us know when the court date is. And we'll all be there." I'd like to see how arrogant those two can be in the face of the law. Okay, thank you all. I am truly grateful to them. Having experienced it once, you come to realize how wonderful the kindness of others can be. 12. Walk out of the memorial hall. Anshin. The reporter called out to me, "Our TV station can provide you with free legal aid at any time. If you want to file a lawsuit, be sure to contact us." "Okay, if I do file a lawsuit, I'll definitely contact you." Of course. I know there's no such thing as a free lunch. The TV station is doing this just to keep reporting the news. After all, I'm not the one getting hurt, and it can also expose the ugly faces of certain people. Why not go along with it? Returning home. As soon as I stepped off the elevator, I saw several elderly people standing at my doorstep, the same ones who had slandered me before. "That Anshin, we just misunderstood you. We didn't know you had been through so much. Don't take it to heart," an old woman said ingratiatingly as she stepped forward. "We were fooled by your vicious mother-in-law. We never expected she could be so shameless. These are some fruits we bought for you, consider it an apology." With that, they handed me a large bag of fruit and quickly left. As they left, they didn't forget to say, "Anshin, we're all on your side." I never actually blamed them. Most people in this world are influenced by public opinion. The only people I hate are Chin's mother and Lin Xiaomin. I open the door to my home. My parents are waiting for me at home, visibly excited to see me return. I see that both of their eyes are red. After watching the live broadcast, you must have been both angry and heartbroken, right? Xin. I never imagined you had suffered so much injustice at the Qin family's place. My mom hugged me and burst into tears. My dad's eyes were also red-rimmed beside her. "It's okay, everything's fine now, isn't it?" I comforted them. "My daughter is really smart and impressive." My father, who was usually not good at expressing himself and rarely praised others, was now beaming with pride. Otherwise, we would have been completely controlled by Qin Jin's mother. Just thinking about it makes me feel suffocated. I felt a pang of sadness in my heart. In my past life, this was exactly how I was pushed to suicide by their family. I didn't even dare to imagine what happened to my parents after I died. Fortunately, none of that will happen again now. 3 days later, Mother Qin and Lin Xiaomin did not return the money to me. I didn't urge them either. Instead, I directly contacted the TV station and waited for the court hearing. 2 months later, the lawsuit between me, Qin's mother, and Lin Xiaomin went to court. Seeing Qin's mother and Lin Xiaomin again in court still surprised me a bit. Both of them looked noticeably haggard. Qin's mother was originally overweight, but now she has lost at least 20 pounds. And her whole appearance has become somewhat gaunt. Lin Xiaomin was much the same. She loved to dress up and was always meticulously put together, but today she wore no makeup, her skin was noticeably sallow, and she looked utterly listless, completely devoid of her former radiance. I let out a cold sneer. Actually, there's no need to be too surprised. Being subjected to online harassment, being pointed at and gossiped about by those around you. I know all too well what it feels like to wish you were dead. 13. Many relatives and friends came to the court today to observe and support me. Apart from those present, many people online were also waiting for my good news. In court, my lawyer argued vigorously on my behalf. In the end, the court ruled that Lin Xiaomin must fully refund the 121,651 yuan that Qin Jin had spent on her, leaving 20 as alimony for Qin's mother, and ordered a refund of 342,162 yuan to me. But since Qin Jin has passed away, Qin's mother also has inheritance rights. Therefore, after deducting all expenses and adding the final compensation of 38,000 yuan from the insurance company, as the spouse, I first take half. And the remaining amount is split equally with Qin's mother. In other words, Qin's mother ultimately still needs to pay me 216,708 yuan. Walking out of the courtroom, I feel completely at ease. The grudges of the past life end here. At least, they end with me. Qin Jin is dead. I got back every penny I was owed, not a cent less. I reclaimed my reputation, and for the rest of my life, I can hold my head high and pursue my happiness anew. As for Qin's mother and Lin Xiaomin, their retribution has only just begun. Wherever Mother Qin goes now, people point and whisper about her. The key point is that she lost her son, and he was her only child. After the rumors spread, not a single relative sympathized with her, leaving her utterly alone. So even though she still has some money and a house, her life is far from easy. Later, it was said that Mother Qin fell for a health supplement scam. The young salesman selling those supplements called her mom over and over, making her heart bloom with joy. In the end, she spent all her money on those health products. None of the relatives around her tried to persuade her. Instead, they scolded her, saying she deserved to be cheated. After Qin's mother had all her money swindled by the health supplement seller, the seller disappeared. Qin's mother only realized she had been deceived after the fact, crying and making a scene on the street. People treated her like a madwoman. When she went to report the case, they only took a record, as there were too many elderly people being scammed. And the police station was too busy to handle it all. Most of that money was likely unrecoverable. Later, Qin's mother seemed to have developed a mental illness. She spent every day searching for her son and even fabricated a grandson, muttering mysteriously at home all the time. The neighbors couldn't stand it anymore and called the police. Qin's mother was sent to a mental hospital, and after that, there was no more news of her. As for Lin Xiaomin, her situation was hardly any better. Due to her personal misconduct, she was fired from her company. When she went out, people often pointed fingers at her, and some extreme netizens even sent her threatening letters and creepy toys. After the incident with Qin Jin blew up, it was likely that no one would ever want to be with her again. It was said that for a long time Lin Xiaomin never left her house, locking herself in her room every day and refusing to communicate with anyone. Such behavior is too similar to what I did in my past life. At first, I would still communicate with others, but later I locked myself away for a long time, and then, at some sudden emotional breaking point, I chose to end my life. Of course, none of this is within my concern anymore. Whatever Lin Xiaomin ends up facing in the end, it is the retribution she deserves. It has nothing to do with me. As for my brand new life, it has only just begun.